Today I'm breaking down the exact scaling strategies we use for our 7 and 8 figure D2C brands to scale them up to spends of $40,000 per day in ad spend profitably. And today I'm really revealing our 4 main approaches that you can take for your D2C brand to scale it up profitably in 2024. These are all Facebook and Instagram strategies that we use actively with our clients. And today I'm really showing you each and every step you need to take so you can first of all find the right scaling strategy for you at the right time and also replicate it so it is successful for you. And I would say we hop right in because we got no time to lose, and I would say we start right here with the CBO Trinity. We call it the CBO Trinity. It is quite known among the experts. And when I heard about this for the first time, it was a few years back. And since then, I've been trying it in every account, and especially accounts in the beginning that don't have too much data or that need to be a bit more seasoned. These campaigns really work wonders. So what you're going to do is that you set up a CBO campaign, a campaign budget optimization campaign, and you choose 3 audiences. First one is broad, the second one is an interest stack, the third one is a lookalike stack. What do I mean with the stacks? So the stacks are really just a few interests or a few lookalikes grouped together in the ad set. For example, an interest stack. Let's say you're selling yoga leggings, for example. One interest stack could be yoga, some yoga magazines, anything around that theme. You can put them in there and choose like 5 to 10 interests, and that is usually a good balance between not being too tight on the algorithm and also giving it a bit of freedom. Right, but they should be grouped together and they should have a common theme. The third one is then a lookalike stack. And with the lookalike stack, what you're going to do, or what I love to do, is I take the purchases and I create a 10% lookalike audience in that specific country. I found these 10% and 5% to work really well, even better than the 1% ones, and especially also more scalable. So I would just give them a shot. Again, that's the broad, that's an interest stack, and a lookalike stack. 3 different ad sets. And in each of these ad sets, you have the best performing post IDs. So of course, you can only scale an account when you found some great winners. And I recently recorded another video where I show you really how to test and identify true winning creatives. But then when you have these winners, you want to export them or import them, better said, to a scaling campaign, and the scaling campaign can be any of those. In this case, you have now one campaign with 3 ad sets, and in each of these 3 ad sets, you want to put your best, let's say 2 to 3 ads in there, so you can really scale them up. Now it's time to spend big money once you found these winning creatives, and you need to capitalize on that. So you got this one campaign, you got these 3 ad sets, you're gonna pull it with the post ID or just duplicate the ads in the scaling campaign, but I would really recommend you to use the post ID to not lose all of the likes, the comments and everything like that. That gives you really cheap advertising costs. And then you can just import that with the post ID and scale them up in this campaign. I love to scale these by 20%. But recently we got this feature where it tells you, hey, this is a high performing campaign. You can scale this by up to 70%. So let's say you have like a 9,000 per day daily spend, and it just tells you, hey, you can push it up to like 13, 14,000, anything like that. I'm very careful with these. I like to stick to my 20% rule usually, and you can also like shorten this time period a bit, like 2 to 5 days. You can do like 1 to 3 days if it's really working well. And if you get these recommendations in your ad account, I try to show one of these here in the video, then I would recommend that you push it up by a lot, definitely more than 20%, but don't do it to the fullest. I like to run it down a bit. So for example, if I have it at 9K per day, I might, and the recommendation is 15,500, I might go to 12,500 for a day and then see how it performs and see if I can take it further. And of course, this recommendation is for all of these campaigns, so don't worry about that. All right, the second thing right now is an ABO campaign. The difference between a CBO and an ABO campaign is that the ABO campaign has the budget on the ad set level, and the CBO has it on the campaign level. So what I love to do with these campaigns, ABO, first of all, I love to test. anyone who watched my testing video knows that we test in an ABO campaign, and we test by angles. So once we find some great creatives, we don't just export them to the scaling campaign, but we actually also scale them in the ABO campaign. So you can really scale your ad sets that you have in your successful creative tests. You can scale them in your ABO testing campaign, and this is something what we do. That's called vertical scaling. Of course, then this, when you, for example, I love these ABO campaigns also when you need to scale quickly. Let's say you need to go from $3,000 per day in ad spend to $15,000 per day in ad spend in like 2-3 days. Then what I love to do is that I set up multiple different ad sets within an ABO campaign that has different interests, for example, different lookalikes. As you see it right here, you can do an interest stack on fitness, you can do an interest stack on yoga, you can do an interest stack on health, and the same thing with lookalikes. And then I basically test all of these 10 ad sets, and after 2-3 days, I might overspend a bit in the beginning, but after these 2-3 days, you really find a few ad sets of those that perform insanely well. And these are then the ones, so let's just say interest stack yoga works really well, and lookalike stack 5% purchase works really well. What I do is I cut all of the rest, and these two ad sets I scale aggressively vertically. So every 1 to 3 days again, you can increase it by 20%, or if you get this recommendation, you can be more aggressive. In general, when you have like really strong creatives, you can be much more aggressive. And then just sometimes when it's testing at $150 per day, I like to rip it up to $500 a day in spend, and I just let it run there for a few days, like 3 days or so, and see if it stabilizes. Just in general, one important note on scaling: when you scale something up and you aggressively increase the budget, and that's why I love this 20% rule, because it's more stable. But if you aggressively increase, the next day might be shit, and you shouldn't like throw in the towel or get anxious or shit your pants or anything. You should just really monitor how it evolves. You can even look at like soft metrics. When you scale aggressively, also intraday, which means within the same day, then you can look at metrics like, for example, how does the CPM behave? How does the CPC behave? And if you see anomalies there and you see everything goes to shit, then be careful. But normal like downtrends in performance the following day after you scale up is usually normal, and then it stabilizes again over the next few days and you reach a new scaling level. And this is what it's all about. So yeah, always keep that in mind. And then the third one is an Advantage Plus shopping campaign. So we love to use these ASC campaigns, and you always need to test and be careful. Ideally, if you have an attribution tool that works with that, you can track like how many new customers it drives. These ASC campaigns are so powerful, and they give you like amazing KPIs, but you need to be careful because sometimes they just over retarget a bit, and that's not what they are intended to be. Or they might be from Facebook, but it's not what we are trying to do with them. We're trying to acquire as many new customers as we can, and that's why we need the most effective new customer campaign setups that we can establish in the account. So but we can talk about that later. So first of all, what you want to do with this Advantage Plus shopping campaign. The ASC, the Advantage Plus shopping campaign, is a new campaign type. It rolled out like last year for basically all of the accounts, and it's a new type in addition to CBO and ABO, which we just went through. The ASC campaign, you can imagine it like one campaign, and it doesn't have an ad set, it just has the ads in there. And this is what you should think about it. It's like this one campaign where you punch in all of your best performing creatives, and it can be a few more right here, and I will explain why. But you can really punch in your like 3 to 10 best ads and just let it run. And there are a few notes with this ASC that you need to take into account. First of all, if you are in the US, right now at the state where I record the video, you can usually include the Facebook shop. You can set up Facebook shop so people have the opportunity to purchase and check out on Facebook, which can help with an increase in conversion rates and actually better performance. Just again, be careful that you're really effectively prospecting and acquiring new customers. If you're outside of the US at the point of this video, then just run it as a normal one. Just select the destination website and it's fine. Don't sweat it. You can use the existing customer cap to exclude your purchases. And this is so crucial because otherwise your Advantage Plus shopping campaign just really loves to retarget your existing purchasers and everybody that's like easy to convert. So what you need to do is that you go on there, and I will try to include a screenshot right now of what I'm talking about. What you're trying to do is that you exclude a customer list of yours, and then you set an existing customer cap. So the money that's spent on this list on your existing customers is like 1%, 2%, 3%, anything like that. I would reduce it a lot. I would usually put it at like 1 to 3%. We had it at 0% until one of the meta reps told us, hey, at 0% it's doing the other way around it. So I don't think so. I think it's just a rumor, but for safety reasons we just keep it at between like 1 to 3%, and that's where we're having the best results. But again, you need to test it for each and individual account to make sure you have the right setup. And then you just punch in your best post IDs and you scale them up. Your best ads go in there and you just scale it up. I like to set a bit of a higher budget in the beginning already when I launch these campaigns, and then it's like 2 notes on these campaigns that are really, really important. First of all, they need time to optimize. It's like a Google PMax campaign, and I'm not a Google Pro at all, but they really need some time in the beginning. And with this ASCs, just give them like at least 4 to 5 days to optimize, so they can really like get all of the information they need, find the right customers and go after them. We saw huge differences from the first 2-3 days to then actually the following weeks after running these campaigns. And we would have normally turned them off after like 3-4 days because they were performing so poorly. But then after they get some purchases, they get so much better. They are really insane at learning and optimizing. So at least run them for 5 to 7 days at least. Ideally a week. Right, and the second thing is that sometimes you have, with the ABO and the CBO, you often see that you put in like 3, 4, 5 best performing creatives, but only 1 or 2 of them gets spent. And there's a difference to these ASC campaigns, because you can put in the same 5 creatives and you might see that the best ad gets like 50% of the budget, or like let's say like 30% of the budget. The second best one gets like 25% of the budget. The third one like 20%, anything like that. And you see that the spend is structured and shared in a different way. It's not that one ad gets like 95% of the budget. It's more so that all of these ads, or like all of the best performing creatives, let's say like 2 or 3 out of 5, get a huge percentage of spend. And this is according to like our learnings and also what we hear from Facebook. It is because the ASC is able to target different audiences within the Facebook world of like people that are at different stages in their customer journey, for example, or that have different interests. If one ad talks about how comfortable these leggings are, then it might go after people who like comfortable clothing. And on the other hand, if the leggings are also like sustainable, just as an example, it could also go after people who like sustainability, anything like that. And these 2 very different angles, they can work insanely well in this campaign, get a huge spend and diversify your spend a bit. So we love the ASC for that reason. And that's why we keep them running, and they are usually very scalable. You just need to be careful after some time. They sometimes like to die out, and then they just are not effective anymore as a prospecting campaign. So always be careful. Take a look at like your new percentage of visitors rate, or like your new customer CPA, anything like that. Especially if you have attribution tools, use them wisely, and especially for these campaigns, because they can be a blessing and at the same time really a bad thing if you don't use them properly. Alright, then we're coming to the 4th and the last one. I'm excited about this one because we use these campaigns, and this is like really the most exciting part of being a media buyer, I would say, because these are the accelerated bid cap campaigns. Just to make it clear, you don't have your existing and your entire account running on accelerated bid cap campaigns, because let me break it down for you. These campaigns, they are designed to spend your budget, it can be like 10 grand, at the fastest time possible. As soon as Facebook thinks that they can get purchases for you, it will just spend it. It could be that you wake up in the morning at 9 AM and 10 grand are gone, just because this campaign is so, let's call it spicy. It just blasts out your budget and it doesn't care at all. So The difference here is that usually your campaigns are on a standard delivery, which means that Facebook spends your money throughout the entire day. And of course, there are some strong hours and some weak hours, but it spends it over the course of these 24 hours and then it's gone. The difference to accelerated is that you tell Facebook, spend it as fast as you can. And of course, this doesn't make sense if you don't regulate it in any way. Otherwise, Facebook will just blast it out every day the same time and as fast as it can. But if you have this regulation, this bid cap, where you tell them, hey, you can spend whatever you want basically. I'll give you this budget of 10K and you can spend as much as you want with it, but make sure to get customers or like get a purchase below $30. $30 is my bid cap, and anything above that, I don't want these purchases. So what will happen is that Facebook regulates the spend and is very careful with the spend. It's like holding it back until it finds an opportunity window to spend the money and get purchases. So how do you set this up? You set up an ABO campaign, you create one ad set on broad usually, make sure the attribution is a one-day click, otherwise it might go haywire. Then you import your best post IDs or your best creatives. You choose the delivery as accelerated, from standard to accelerated. And then I recommend that you try a bid cap of around 1.3 of what you have. For example, let's say your target CPA and your current CPA in the account is $30. Then you could set it like 39, 40, anything like that, and see what it does. Usually the bid cap must be a lot above the CPA than you're getting, but make sure to not like put it at 50 when your target CPA is 30. Your money will just be wasted and burned. And then ideally in the beginning it doesn't spend, and then you tweak it a bit. Let's say you move the bid cap from 39 to 41 or something like that, and then suddenly it starts spending. And once you find that balance of like great performance and maximized spend, you can really scale this up. And we had insane successes with this accelerated bid cap campaigns. These are so much fun. Once you get them to work, you can run them for a few days, sometimes a few weeks, and they will just print money because they usually have a better ROAS, a better CPA than your regular business as usual campaigns, and they can be a great addition to your business as usual setup. And that's what we're using them for. Crank out even more budget and really get in more new customers. And yes, I hope these 4 approaches were really insightful. I hope you could take away something from it. If you have any questions on those or anything else that was unclear, then please drop them below in the comments and I will make sure to get back to each of you. And if you want to connect with me, you can also do so on Twitter. If you want me personally to take a look at your account and see if it makes sense to partner up, obviously we have a team. We are a premium boutique agency helping you scale your meta ads sustainably and profitably. We do creatives, we build landing pages, we make sure your offer is dialed in just so your new customer acquisition is really dialed in and you can acquire new customers at scale for your brand. If that's interesting, also hit me up. We are doing sometimes when we have availability free audits that you get, no strings attached. If you feel it makes sense to partner up with us and we feel the same way, then we can talk about more. But if not, that's cool too. And I hope you enjoyed the video and we'll see you in the next one.